Thank you, everyone. Hi, my name is Yuta Kanzawa. I very appreciate the reviewers and voters who selected my proposal. And today I'd like to talk about comparison of Python and R in data wrangling and data visualization. So here's the agenda today. I compare them as language, explain differences between them in data wrangling and data visualization, and some other cases. Before start, let me introduce myself shortly. Auf Deutsch. Then English. Again, my name is Yuta Kanzawa. I'm from Tokyo. Data scientist at Johnson & Johnson. Technically, my company is Janssen Pharmaceutical. It's a pharmaceutical division of Johnson & Johnson, and work in Tokyo. And I analyze data for sales force effectiveness and marketing, and use R and Python daily. I'm a huge fan of opera and wine, and I use 7 languages: Japanese, English, German for human, and R, Python, SAS, SQL for computers. In R and Python, I first learned R, then I also learned Python. So I came this Tuesday to Berlin for this talk and this beautiful, incredible conference. And actually, I'm still a little bit suffered from jet lag, so if I said anything wrong, maybe it's because of jet lag. And this is my second time in Berlin. Here I plot the, do you know the app called Foursquare, or, yeah, do you know? So this is my check-ins in Germany since 2012, July, until September 2019. As you can see, Germany is to me one of the favorite holiday destination, but mainly in South. So I'm very glad to be here in Berlin. So let me take a quick survey. So if you use now or have ever used R, please raise your hand. Oh, that's more than expected. Thank you. And Python, everybody. Thank you. And both? Oh, thank you. Okay, so I can assume that you're at least familiar with our languages. So now I get into main courses. First, about differences and similarities as language. R and Python. Differences. R is mainly used for statistical analysis, and is the reason the language is created. While Python is widely, as you know, widely used in web application, system development, and also in data science. Sorry. And there may be 2 things Pythonistas might find a little bit strange in R. One is that the use of the dots. Dots are, sorry, it's not. Okay, let's stop that. Dots are allowed in names in R, as you know, but maybe it's a little bit different way to use dots in Python. And also in R, index starts at 1, not 0, as in Python. Here's another, but one of big difference for me between R and Python. In R, as most of you know, operators and functions basically apply to each element of vector, while not in Python. So this is a simple example about the vector of x. Elements are 1, 2, 3. If you want to square of each value of x, in all, you can simply apply the x asterisk asterisk 2, which means x squared. But if you did that in Python, you get a type error. It's not implemented for the list. Then you need to use a list comprehension or for loops. So this is a big difference, and I was surprised when start learning Python, and sometimes even today I struggle with this difference. On the other hand, they have many similarities as well. They both first appeared in early 1990s and took about 10 years before their first major conferences had been held. Coincidentally, their major current stable versions are close, 3.6.1 and 3.7.4. Both are dynamical typing, and both have the famous iris dataset. Do you know iris dataset? Yeah, everybody loves that iris. So, second, about data wrangling. Here I compare tidyverse in R and pandas in Python. Tidyverse is a meta library that is a collection of R packages for data science. And it is created based on a philosophy called tidy data. I explain it later. Oh, I tweeted my slide, so you can find my name under the slide, Yuta Kanzawa, then and you can see my slides on your desktop if you want. And in tidyverse, one of the important features is a pipe operator here, this one, percent greater and percent. This is I think this is a unique operator in tidyverse. And this pipe operator connects the functions and let data flow from one to the next function, as in method chaining in pandas. So, what's tidy data? Here's a brief description about that, but you don't worry if you don't understand. Me neither. So, tidy data is data where each variable forms a column and each observation forms a row. Definition of variable and observation is depending on your data and your goal. But in this example, the left table is not tidy because week 01 and week 02 should be they are different time points, and they should be value of week, like as in the right table. So this is the iris dataset. In case you don't know about that, the original iris dataset is not so tidy for me. So it's because length and width, which are included in the column, should be treated as value of dimension, like the below. So I want to tidyfy it. How can I do that in R and Python? here. Left is a code in R using tidyverse. So you can call iris dataset, maybe as you know, in R, just call by iris. Pipe operators, you can see here 1, 2, 3, connect the functions. And first I call iris, then hand it to row ID to column function, which creates a column from row ID, naming it ID. Then the result is handed to pivot longer function, which makes horizontal and wider dataset into longer vertical dataset. And finally, I put it into a separate function, which separates a string column. In this case, I want to split sepal length or sepal width. So as you can see, especially as you can see, when separating column, tidyverse is much simpler than in pandas, because in pandas there is no such function to do that job. So it's I think it's just a difference, but this is one of the features I like in tidyverse. So in my experience, this was a little bit a simple example, but in my experience, so maybe many of you, and I think some of you are more experienced data analysts than I do, so maybe you have different experiences. In that case, I'm glad to know more. But anyway, in my experience, R offers quick and simple ways to talk with data, like when you do exploratory data analysis at your hand. On the other hand, it's not so suitable for data pipeline. Of course, you can do that with some tools like Outlix or RStudio Server, something like that. But basically, I think R is not suitable for data pipeline, especially when your data set flows into database. Third, about data visualization. So here I compare ggplot2 in R and matplotlib in Python. Both are libraries to create high-quality graphs and charts. Unfortunately, as you know, interactive plot is not implemented in ggplot2, but you can draw cool charts with ggplot2. Simply by default setting allows that. So, authors of matplotlib imported its style into matplotlib, as you can see here. You can draw the ggplot2 style graph even in matplotlib. Oh, sorry. So ggplot2's key feature is, I think, aesthetics function. I explain later. Here's the usage of ggplot2. Maybe most of you already know, but here shows how it works. First, you specify data to plot with ggplot function here. And then within the ggplot function, you call aesthetics function, AES, to specify x, y, for example, to specify x, y variables. And then you need to call layered functions such as geom_point or geom_histogram to create scatterplot or histograms. Then you can add some declarational functions for example, to use different color set or to set x-axis in a log scale. So example case, again, iris. Maybe your boss tell you, show me relationship between sepal length and petal length by species as soon as possible. It's daily life of data analyst. But then I try to draw a scatter plot. So how can I do that? Right is again in R using ggplot2, and left is in pandas. So first I call iris like I did in the data wrangling, and so now I call it in the ggplot function. Then the second argument of the ggplot function, I call aesthetic function to specify x and y and grouping for coloring. So this color equals species means that I color each data point based on its species. And then with plus mark, I call geom_point layer function to plot scatter to make a scatter plot. So as you can see, color grouping is really different in ggplot2 and matplotlib. ggplot2 is much simpler. This is another feature I like. So unfortunately, ggplot2 is not perfect because, as I mentioned, interactive visualization is not implemented. But you still have choice, Plotly. If you use Python, you have many interactive plotting libraries like Bokeh and Seaborn. So Plotly does almost the same thing. And one advantage of Plotly is that the Plotly, you can use Plotly both in R and Python. And as you can see here, the Plotly is as simple as ggplot2 is. So, in my experience, R provides strong and efficient ways to draw graphs. Like when you do exploratory data analysis and you create nice chart for presentations or maybe for documents. But I didn't explain, but in my experience, I think R is not necessarily the best option for dashboard. For example, if I build a dashboard to share with my marketing team, I choose case by case. And some other cases. This is a brief overview about machine learning, big data, and natural language processing. For machine learning, R and Python have many options, but as you can see, some of them are interfaced to Python implementation. Now you can use Keras and TensorFlow in R, but backend is actually a Python. So technically, you use Python when you use Keras and TensorFlow in R. And also for big data and natural language processing, Python has more options than R does. So it's a little bit early, but conclusion. This is one of the most asked, and I also asked So R versus Python, or which is better, or which should I use? I've been asked. And here I cited a brilliant answer by Hadri Wickham. Do you know him? He is a creator and developer of tidyverse package. And in an interview, he answered R and Python exist independently and both awesome in different ways. R is weird language, but it is weird for good reasons. Use whatever makes you happy. I totally agree with him. So you can use any tools, languages, which makes you or your colleagues or your customers happy. But still, I recommend you to be bilingual because it enhances your current data analysis skills in Python. For example, when you do explore data, or you make a fine chart for your presentation. Also, it could enhance your career path in data science. If you use R and Python both, you can interact with both communities. And learning new things is just fun. I think it's most important because I every day learn new things in R and Python, and it stimulates me every time. So let's start learning R and enjoy. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Are there any questions? We have around 5 minutes.
What's your experience as far as deploying a dashboard? Have you found like R and Shiny to be easier than the tools available in Python, or what's your experience with that?
Yes, I try to use Shiny in our company, but IT team has some their own regulation, so I cannot install the Shiny into my server. So I had to use some other tools than no R nor Python. It's called Tableau. I think it was a good choice because marketing people sometimes don't have any data literacy in the worst case. So I try to make sure that everyone can use dashboard by themselves.
Hi, thanks for the talk. More of a suggestion than a question. I really like the ideas of grammar of graphics. And I recently found the Altair Python library. I don't know if anybody else knows it or uses it, which kind of implements a very nice interface to grammar of graphics style plotting in Python. So if you don't know that yet, it's well worth checking out. It's also interactive and for the browser and whatnot.
Oh, thank you. I didn't know that, so I'll check it later. Thank you.
Well, maybe one question from my side. You showed the difference between tidy data and not tidy data. It seems that R is more into the structure of tidy data, whereas Python, pandas, and such on try to have every feature in a separate column. Is there any reason? Do you think there's a conceptual difference in working with it?
It's good question, and also it's the area I need to learn. But I think when you create tidy data I showed, and you can easily calculate the things, more non-tidy data. But on the other hand, there are some good points about non-tidy data. So I think it totally depends on your goal. I mean, what do you want to do? So you can choose both way.
Hi. Thank you for the talk. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience regarding the performance between R and Python? So there's an old wall telling that R isn't that performant as Python, especially the Pandas library. What's your experience? What's your take on that?
Okay. Honestly speaking, I usually don't use not so huge data set, so I usually don't feel much difference between them. But if you need to use, for example, 10 gigabyte or 100 gigabyte data set, maybe using Python could outperform R, because, as you know, R imports all of the data set into the memory.
If there are no further questions, please thank the speaker again.
Thank you very much.